So this is for your English, and we're to do a character study from Pygmalion by Bernard Shaw. So we're going to analyze these characters, and that's what you're supposed to do in this little project, and do a paper on it that tells about each character. And one of you can take Higgins, and the other could take Eliza, and tell what kind of people. By the way he writes, Bernard Shaw writes, you can actually sense what kind of person each of these individuals, these characters are. So let's begin. Because Shaw's critical plays were not well received in England, Pygmalion was originally performed in Venice, where it was highly acclaimed. Pygmalion is a humorous satire on the English social classes. Shaw showed how Eliza Doolittle, a poor, illiterate Cockney flower girl, could be changed into a lady by merely changing her language. The title is based on the classical myth about a sculptor, Pygmalion, who hated women but fell in love with his own masterpiece, a statue of the goddess of love, Aphrodite, whom he married when she was brought back to life. In Shaw's play, Professor Henry Higgins, an expert on phonics, is the counterpart of Pygmalion. He transforms the crude flower girl Eliza Doolittle into a refined lady. In this excerpt from the second act of the play, Higgins presents his plan to transform Eliza's language into the language of a lady to his housekeeper, Mrs. Pierce, and his friend, Colonel Pickering. So we have 4 characters there. The main character we see at first, or 2 of the main characters. One is going to be Eliza Doolittle, and she is a poor, illiterate Cockney girl. What's Cockney? Let's look down and see what Cockney is. Cockney is a native dialect of the East End of London with certain characteristic twang. Has a loss of the initial H and the use of an intrusive R. So it's a slang English in London, and she's from it will basically, as you speak, it will tell exactly where you're from, and being from that part of London is not a good thing because it's a very poor section of town of London. So she's a poor flower girl. And then we have Professor Henry Higgins. And Professor Henry Higgins is of the upper class. He's very arrogant. He puts down women and he puts down the poor. He thinks he can do anything. He thinks he can take anyone, and by his scientific method of phonics, of transforming their language, he can bring them and change them into anything they want to be, but just by their language. So we're going to find out by Professor Henry Higgins, just by what he says, what kind of person he is. And on to the other 2 characters. We have Mrs. Pierce, and we'll see who Mrs. Pierce. She is the maid, and so she knows a little bit about both. She knows a little bit about being poor, and she knows about the rich, as she's been a maid for the rich. So she knows, so she can kind of see what's going on in the midst of all this, and she's very interested, as we see. And she's also to that point, later on, we'll find that she's very instrumental in helping Eliza be transformed. This is definitely a Cinderella type story, and it's focusing on language. And then we have Colonel Pickering here. Colonel Pickering is Colonel. He's in the military, and he's very, very much a gentleman to women. In the midst, and also he's very encouraging to all around him. So he has a different attitude, totally different attitude than Professor Higgins does. So let's begin, and I'm going to read through. So I'm going to try to read through, just can follow along, and it's just a few pages. And then we'll probably, I don't know if I'll even finish this, but you can read the whole book. I have the book. It's actually a pretty interesting book. And there's also a movie called My Fair Lady that comes off from this whole story by Bernard Shaw. So, and it's in play form. So So let's begin. And I'm just going to go slowly through, and I'm going to try to put the accents and the slang in as it's written. And you can see when you read it, he tried to write the characters and the way they talked. So let's begin. Mrs. Pierce, hastily and evidently perplexed, she enters the room. A young woman asks to see you, sir. Higgins, a young woman? What does she want? Mrs. Pierce, well, sir, she says you'll be glad to see her when you know what she's come about. She's quite a common girl, sir. Very common indeed. I should have sent her away, only I thought perhaps you wanted her to talk into your machines. I hope I've not done wrong, but really you see such queer people sometimes. You'll excuse me, sir. I'm sure, sir. Higgins. Oh, that's all right, Mrs. Pierce. Has she an interesting accent? Mrs. Pierce. Oh, something dreadful, sir, really. I don't know how you can take an interest in it. Higgins to Pickering. Let's have her up. Show her up. Mrs. Pierce, he rushes across the working table and picks out a cylinder to use on the phonograph to record her voice. Mrs. Pierce, only half resigned to it. Very well, sir. It's for to say she goes down, and she goes downstairs. Higgins, this is a rather bit of luck. I'll show you how I make records. We'll set her talking, and I'll take it down first in the Bell's visible speech, and then in broad Romerick. And then we'll get her on the phonograph so that you can turn her on as often as you like with the written transcript before you. Mrs. Pierce returning. This is the young woman, sir. The flower girl enters in state. She has a hat with 3 ostrich feathers, orange, sky blue, and red. She has a nearly clean apron, and the shoddy coat has been tidied a little. The pathos of this deplorable figure, with its innocent vanity and consequential air, touches Pickering, who has already straightened himself in the presence of Mrs. Pierce. But as to Higgins, the only distinction he makes between men and women is that when he is neither bullying or exclaiming to the heavens against some feather-weighted cross, he coaxes women as a child coaxes his nurse when it wants to get anything out of her. Higgins. Brusquely recognize her with unconcealed disappointment, and at once, baby-like, making an intolerable grievance of it. Why, this is the girl I jotted down last night. She's no use. I've got all the records I want of the listen groove lingo, and I'm not going to waste another cylinder. To the girl. Be off with you. I don't want you. The flower girl. Don't you be so saucy. You ain't heard what I come from yet. She said that to Mrs. Pierce, who was waiting at the door for further instruction. Did you tell him I came in a taxi? Mrs. Pierce. Nonsense, girl. What do you think a gentleman like Mr. Higgins cares what you came in? The flower girl. Oh, we are proud. He ain't above giving lessons, not him. I heard him say so. Well, I ain't come here to ask for any compliment. And if my money not good enough, I can go elsewhere. Higgins. Good enough for what? The flower girl. Good enough for you. Now, you know, don't you? I'm come to have lessons. I am come and to pay for them, and I make no mistake. Higgins. Well, recovering from his gasp, what do you expect me to say to you? The flower girl. Well, if you was a gentleman, you might ask me to sit down, I think. Don't I tell you, and I'm bringing you business here? Higgins. Pickering, shall we ask this baggage to sit down, or shall we throw her out of the window? Flower Girl, running away in terror to the piano where she turns at bay. Ow! Ow! I won't be called a baggage when I've offered to pay like any lady. Motionless, the two men stare at her from the other side of the room, amazed. And Pickering, but what is it you want? The Flower Girl, I want to be a lady in a flower shop instead of selling at the corner of Tottenham and Court Road. But they won't take me unless I can talk more genteel. He said he could teach me. Well, here I am to pay him, not asking any favor, and he treats me as if I was just dirt. Mrs. Pierce, how could you be such a foolish, ignorant girl as to think you could afford to pay Mr. Higgins? Flower Girl, why shouldn't I? I know what lessons cost as well as you do, and I'm ready to pay. Higgins, how much? Flower Girl, coming back to him in triumph. Now you're talking. I thought you'd come off it when you saw a chance of getting back a bit of what you chucked at me last night. Confidently, you had a drop in it, hadn't you? Higgins, sit down. Flower Girl, oh, if you're going to make a compliment of it. Higgins, sit down. Mrs. Pierce, sit down, girl. Do as you're told. Flower Girl, she stands half rebellious and half bewildered. Pickering, very curious, very courteous. Won't you sit down? He places the straight chair near the hearthrug between himself and Higgins. Liza, don't mind if I do. She sits down. Pickering returns to her hearthrug. Higgins, what's your name? Flower Girl, Liza Doolittle. Higgins, Eliza Elizabeth Betsy Bess. They went to the woods to get a bird's nest. Pickering, they found a nest with 4 eggs in it. Higgins, they took 1 piece and left 3 in it. They laughed at their own little fun they were having. Liza, oh, don't be silly. Mrs. Pierce, you mustn't speak to the gentleman like that, placing herself behind Eliza's chair. Liza, well, why don't he speak sensible to me? Higgins, come back to business. How much do you propose to pay for the lessons? Liza, oh, I know what's right. A lady friend of mine gets French lessons for 18 pence an hour from a real Frenchman. Well, you know, you wouldn't have the face to ask me the same for teaching me my own language as you would for French. So I won't give more than a shilling. Take it or leave it. Higgins, walking up and down the room, rattling his keys and his cash in his pockets. You know, Pickering, if you consider a shilling not as a simple shilling, but as a percent of this girl's income, it works out as fully equivalent to 60 or 7 guineas from a millionaire. How, Pickering, how so? Higgins, figure it out. A millionaire has about 150 euros, or pounds, I should say. She earns about a half crown. Liza, haughtily, who told you I only? Higgins, she offers me 2/5 of her day's income for a lesson. 2/5 of a millionaire's income for a day would be somewhere about 60 pounds. It's handsome. By George, it's enormous. It's the biggest offer I ever had. Liza, rising terrified, 60 pounds? What are you talking about? I never offered you 60 pounds. Where would I get that? Higgins, hold your tongue. Liza, but I ain't got 60 pounds. Oh, ooh. Mrs. Pierce, don't cry, you silly girl. Sit down. Nobody's going to touch your money. Higgins, Somebody is going to touch you with a broomstick if you don't stop sniffling. Sit down. Liza, obeying slowly. One would think you were my father. Higgins, if I decide to teach you, I'll be worse than two fathers to you. Here, he offers her a silk handkerchief. What's this for? Higgins, to wipe your eyes, to wipe any part of your face that feels moist. Remember, that's your handkerchief and that's your sleeve. Don't mistake the one for the other if you wish to become a lady in a shop. Liza, utterly bewilderedly, stares helplessly at him. Mrs. Pierce, it's no use talking to her like that, Mr. Higgins. She doesn't understand you. Besides, you're quite wrong. She doesn't do it that way at all. She takes the handkerchief. Liza snatches it back. Here, you give me that handkerchief. He gave it to me, not to you. Pickering, laughing. He did. I think it must be regarded as her property, Miss Pierce. Mrs. Pierce. Serve you right, Mr. Higgins. Pickering. Higgins, I'm interested. What about the ambassador's garden party? I'll say you're the greatest teacher alive if you make that good. I'll bet you all the expenses of the experiment that you can't do it, and I'll pay for the lessons. Liza, oh, you are real good. Thank you, Captain. Higgins, tempted looking at her. It's almost irresistible. She's so deliciously low, so horribly dirty. Liza, protesting extremely. Oh, yeah, oh, no, I ain't dirty. I washed my face and my hands before I came, I did. Pickering, you're certainly not going to turn her head with flattery, Higgins. Mrs. Pierce, uneasy. Oh, don't say that, sir. There's more ways than one of turning a girl's head, and nobody can do it better than Mr. Higgins, though he may not always mean it. I do hope, sir, you won't encourage him to do anything foolish. Higgins, becoming excited as the idea grows on. What is life but a series of inspired follies? The difficulty is to find them to do. Never lose a chance. It doesn't come every day. I shall make a duchess of this dragon-tailed gutter snipe. Liza, strongly depreciating his view of her. Oh, boo. Higgins, carried away. Yes, in 6 months, in 3, if she has a good ear and a quick tongue, I'll take her anywhere and pass her off as anything. We'll start today, now, this moment. Take her away and clean her, Mrs. Pierce. Monkey brand if it won't come off any other way. Is there a good fire in the kitchen? Mrs. Pierce, protesting. Yes, but... Higgins, storming on. Take all her clothes off and burn them. Ring up Whiteley or somebody for new ones. Wrap her up in a brown paper till they come. Liza, you're no gentleman, you're not, to talk of such things. I'm a girl, I am, and I know what the like of you are, I do. Higgins, we want none of your Listen Grove prudery here, young woman. You've got to learn to behave like a duchess. Take her away, Mrs. Pierce. If she gives you any trouble, wallop her. Liza, springing up and running between Pickering and Miss Pierce for protection. No, I'll call the police, I will. Mrs. Pierce, but I've no place to put her. Higgins, put her in the dustbin. Liza, oh. Pickering, oh, come, Higgins, be reasonable. Mrs. Pierce, you must be reasonable, Mr. Higgins. Really, you must. You can't walk over everybody like this. Higgins thus scolded subsides. The hurricane is succeeded by a zephyr of amiable surprise. Hagen, with personal exquisiteness of modulation. I walk over everybody. My dear Miss Pierce, my dear Pickering, I never had the slightest intention of walking over anyone. All I propose is that what we should be kind to this poor girl. We must help her to prepare and fit herself for her new station in life. If I did not express myself clearly, it was because I did not wish to hurt her delicacy or yours. Liza reassured and steals back to her chair. Mrs. Pierce. Well, did you ever hear anything like that, sir? Pickering. Never, Mrs. Pierce, never. Higgins. What's the matter? Mrs. Pierce. Well, the matter is, sir, that you can't take a girl up like that is if you were picking up a pebble on the beach. Higgins. Why not? Mrs. Pierce. Why not? But you don't know anything about her. What about her parents? She may be married. Lisa. Garn. Higgins. There, as a girl so properly says, garn. Married, indeed. And don't you know that a woman of that class looks a worn-out drudge of a 50 years after she's married? Liza. Who'd marry me? Higgins, suddenly resorting to the most thrilling, beautiful low tones in his best illusionary style. By George, Eliza, the streets will be strewn with the bodies of men shooting themselves for your sake before I've done with you. Mrs. Pierce. Nonsense, sir. You mustn't talk like that to her. Liza, rising and swaying herself determinedly. I'm going away. He's off his chump, he is. I don't know no blammies teaching me. Higgins, wounded in his tenderest point by her insensibility to his elocution. Oh dear, I'm mad, am I? Very well, Mrs. Pierce, you needn't order new clothes for her. Throw her out. Liza, whimpering. Now, you got no right to touch me. Mrs. Pierce, you see now what comes of being saucy? Indicating the door. This way, please. Liza, almost in tears. I didn't want no clothes. I wouldn't have taken them. She throws away the handkerchief. I can buy my own clothes. Higgins, deftly retrieving the handkerchief and accepting her on her reluctant way to the door. You're an ungrateful, wicked girl. This is my return for offering to take you out of the gutter and dress you beautifully and make a lady out of you. Mrs. Pierce, stop, Mr. Higgins. I won't allow it. It's you that are wicked. Go home to your parents, girl, and tell them to take better care of you. Liza, I ain't got no parents. They told me I was big enough to earn my own living and turn me out. Mrs. Pierce, where's your mother? Liza, I ain't got no mother. Her that turned me out was my 6th stepmother. But I'm done with them, and I'm a good girl, I am. Higgins, well, very well then. What on earth is all this fuss about? The girl doesn't belong to anybody. She's no use to anybody but me. He goes to Mrs. Pierce and begs, coaxing, you can adopt her, Mrs. Pierce. I'm sure a daughter would be a great amusement to you. Now, don't make any more fuss. Take her downstairs and Mrs. Pierce. But what's to become of her? Is she going to be paid anything? Do be sensible, sir. Mrs. Higgins. Oh, pay her whatever's necessary. Put it down in the housekeeping book. What on earth will she want with money? She'll have her food and her clothes. She'll only drink if you give her money. Liza, turning out. Oh, you are a brute. It's a lie. Nobody ever saw the sign of liquor on me. To Pickering. Oh, sir, you're a gentleman. Don't let him speak to me like that. Pickering. Does it occur to you, Higgins, that the girl has some feelings? Higgins, looking critically at her. Oh, no, I don't think so. Not any feelings that would need bother about. Cheeringly. Have you, Eliza? Liza, I got my feelings the same as anybody else. Higgins, you see the difficulty? Pickering, what difficulty? Higgins, to get her to talk grammar, the mere pronunciation is easy enough. Liza, I don't want to talk grammar. I want to talk like a lady in a flower shop. Mrs. Pierce, will you please keep to the point, Mr. Higgins? I don't want to know on what terms the girl is to be here. Is she to have any wages? And what is to become of her when you've finished your teaching? You must look ahead a little. Higgins, impatiently, what's to become of her if I leave her in the gutter? Tell me that, Mrs. Pierce. Mrs. Pierce, that's her own business, not yours, Mr. Higgins. Higgins, well, when I've done with her, we can throw her back into the gutter, and then it will be her own business again, so that's all right. Liza, oh, you've no feeling in you. You don't care nothing but yourself. She rises and takes the floor resolutely. Here, I've had enough of this. I'm going, making for the door. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. You ought to be. Higgins, snatching a chocolate cream from the piano, his eyes suddenly begin to twinkle with mischief. Have some chocolates, Eliza. Liza, I'm halted and tempted. How do you know what might be in them? I've heard of girls being drugged by the like of you. Higgins whips out his penknife, cuts the chocolate in two, puts one half into his mouth and bolts it in and offers her the other half. Higgins, pledge of good faith, Eliza. I eat one half, you eat the other half. Liza opens her mouth to retort. He pops the half chocolate into it. You shall have boxes of them, barrels of them, every day. You shall live on them, eh? Liza, who has disposed of the chocolate after being nearly choked by it. I wouldn't have ate it, only I'm too ladylike to take it out of my mouth. Higgins, listen, Eliza, I think you said you came in a taxi. Liza, well, what if I did? I've as good a right to take a taxi as anyone else. Higgins, you have, Eliza, and in the future you shall have as many taxis as you want. You shall go up and down and round the town in a taxi every day. Think of that, Eliza. Mrs. Pierce, Mr. Higgins, you're tempting the girl. It's not right. She should think of the future. Higgins, at her age? Nonsense. Time enough to think of the future when you haven't any future to think of. No, Eliza, do as this lady does. Think of other people's futures, but never think of your own. Think of chocolates and taxis and gold and diamonds. Liza, no, I don't want no gold, and I don't want no diamonds. I'm a good girl, I am. She sits down again with an attempt at dignity. Higgins, you shall remain so, Eliza, under the care of Mrs. Pierce, and you shall marry an officer in the guards with a beautiful mustache, the son of a marquis, who will disinherit him for marrying you, but you will relent when he sees your beauty and your goodness. Pickering, excuse me, Higgins, but I really must interfere. Mrs. Pierce is quite right. If this girl is to put herself in your hands for 6 months for an experiment in teaching, she must understand thoroughly what she's doing. Higgins, how can she? She's incapable of understanding anything. Besides, do any of us understand what we're doing? If we did, would we ever do it? Pickering, very clever, Higgins, but not to the present point. To Eliza, Miss Doolittle. Liza, oh. Higgins, there, that's all you get out of Liza. Ooh. No use explaining. As a military man, you ought to know that. Give her orders, that's all enough for her. Eliza, you are to live here for the next 6 months, learning how to speak beautifully like a lady in a florist's shop. If you're good and do whatever you're told, you shall sleep in a proper bedroom and have lots to eat and money to buy chocolates and take rides in taxis. If you're naughty and idle, you will sleep in the back kitchen among the black beetles and be walloped by Mrs. Pierce with a broomstick. At the end of 6 months, you shall go to Buckingham Palace in a carriage, beautifully dressed. If the king finds out you're not a lady, you will be taken by the police to the Tower of London, where your head will be cut off as a warning to other presumptuous flower girls. If you are not found out, you shall have a present of 7 and 6 pence to start life with as a lady in a shop. If you refuse this offer, you will be utmost ungrateful, wicked girl, and the angels will weep for you. To Pickering. Now, are you satisfied, Pickering? Can I put it more plainly and fairly, Mrs. Pierce? Mrs. Pierce. I think you better let me speak to the girl properly in the private. I don't know what I can take charge of her or consent to the arrangement of all. Of course, I know you don't mean her any harm, but when you get what you call interested in people's accents, you never think or care what may happen to them or you. Come with me, Eliza. Higgins. That's all right. Thank you, Mrs. Pierce. Bundle her up, off to the bathroom. Liza, rising reluctantly and suspiciously. You're a great bully, you are. I won't stay here if I don't like. I won't let nobody wallop me. I never asked to go to Buckingham Palace. I didn't. I was never in trouble with the police. Not me. I'm a good girl. Mrs. Pierce, don't answer back, girl. You don't understand the gentleman. Come with me. Liza, as she goes out. Well, what I say is right. I won't go near the king. Not if I'm going to have my head cut off. If I'd know what I was letting myself in for, I wouldn't have come here. I've always been a good girl, and I never offered to say a word to him. And I don't owe him nothing, and I don't care, and I won't be put upon. And I have my feelings the same as anyone else. So that's the end there of your reading, and now you see how here's a picture of Bernard Shaw, and how he puts this whole play into being and shows the different characters in it. The 4 different characters have very specific qualities. And so that's what we're going to do the paper on. And so we can take Eliza, and we can, about her character and how you think, write 3 things about her character, and then write 3 things about Higgins' character. The other 2 have definite characters too, but we're going to go with those 2 main characters. So anyway, I had to read it to you.